Hey everybody, Dr. Wenzel Brentwood, MD. Welcome to video 2 of a 2-part series called Secret Weapon. This video is all about strength training. Last week we talked about secret weapon number 1, which was intermittent fasting. But when you combine intermittent fasting with proper strategic strength training, I believe it gives you an unbelievable advantage as you're navigating your life while trying to maximize your overall health, vitality, and performance. Let's do a little bit of a talk really quickly about what strength training, how do you even think about that? I know you kind of probably understand what that term means, but I like to think about all types of training to be in one of 3 buckets. We have light intensity, which is like walking, moderate intensity, which would be like the treadmill or jogging or just generally running. And then high intensity, which I would call weight training without full recovery in between sets, or HIIT type training. And while most people navigate towards the moderate intensity type exercise, being running and treadmill, the real benefit when we look at the data, especially long-term health benefit from fitness, really is found in the high intensity and the light intensity. What we find in the moderate intensity is inconsistent results, but we also see an incredible amount of injury from wear and tear items like hips, knees, ankles, just this repetitive, ongoing motion, never really getting yourself in too of an intense spot, but we do it for a long period of time. That's really how we will wear out some of our wear and tear joints and hinges. You know, humans were designed to be explosive, powerful, fast, strong creatures in short bursts. And we're also designed to be long navigators at low intensity, but for a very long period of time, say walking 20, 30 miles to move from one village to the next. But in the moment's notice, being able to burst and explode to keep yourself safe or to hunt or to fight off a bad guy. There's very little example in human history where there's benefit of a moderate amount of activity done over a long period of time. There tends to be very quickly a tremendous downside that we absorb. The most important point in a strength training talk is that you cannot outrun your mouth. No amount of exercise will undo an improper diet. That's why the most important aspect of your fitness plan, your strength training plan, is in fact your diet. There's really no debate about this. It's at least 80% of your fitness, if not closer to 90%. Nothing is more important than your diet, which is why we started last week with intermittent fasting. I simply believe that it is the most powerful and elegant and simple strategy to deploy, no matter what type of dietary thesis you want to subscribe to based on your interest in your palate and availability. You can weave fasting into that, and I think that in large part solves the dietary conundrum. Now it's time to talk about the fitness component, the exercise. And listen, weights are greater than treadmill. If you're spending a large amount of time on a treadmill and you're not doing wind sprints on that treadmill, you probably need to get off the treadmill. It's a waste of your time. Your efforts will be much better rewarded doing something more high intensity. Now, if you want to get on the treadmill and just walk, that's totally fine. But running is the most overrated exercise in all of fitness. It's fine for many reasons. It clears your head. There's a good endorphin release. Some people, the minority of a population, have the right muscle to frame to weight ratio that they can run and absorb a very minimal downside. But most people are not built to run a long period of time. There's more harm than good in running. And the third point here is most people actually underestimate their own body weight when I say weight training. So strength training just means pushing and pulling against resistance. And traditionally we'll do that with weights in the weight room, dumbbells, barbells, pushing against weight, having it push back against us. And it's that friction where our muscles and neurohormonal system respond to become stronger and more powerful. We can do that with our own body weight. Do not underestimate. If you don't have access to the gym, you don't have a home gym, don't worry. You could do just body weight exercises. There are thousands of YouTubers right now that are doing full body workouts just using your own body weight. If you have a few dollars, you can buy a TRX suspension type system for less than $200. And there probably aren't very many fitness goals that you can achieve with that type of system. But obviously, you don't have to use weights in a gym. You can use your own body weight. The benefits. I mean, this goes kind of without saying, but I think it's really important because we're talking about secret weapons. Like, this is not just another talk about why exercise is so great. This is strategically a way to frame this and think about it in a way to maximize your effort and energy so that you get maximum output with minimum input, eliminating overwhelm and maximizing results. When you strength train with regularity, you are going to get an increase in performance, physical and emotional. It is an incredible antidepressant. It is an incredible anti-anxiety strategy. And not to mention the physical performance benefits. It increases confidence, creativity, energy. It increases sleep. One of the biggest things I see with sleep is there's a discrepancy between mental and emotional fatigue at the end of the day and having deployed no physicality through the day. Your brain is exhausted, but your body has done virtually nothing but come along for the ride, and it causes a hormonal friction to your circadian rhythm, and it's very difficult to either go to sleep or stay asleep, mostly because you don't have that accompanying physical exhaustion like you were when you were a teenager. Man, you just hit it and you were out. That's how you get restful, restorative sleep, is to come into your sleep routine physically exhausted, not just mentally and emotionally exhausted. And it creates momentum in the day. Listen, you need to work out whenever you can, but for most professional adults who also are managing their businesses and their families, there is no other time to work out except before the rest of the family gets up. I get up around 5 to 5:30. I get that done before everybody is awake. And I have created like an engine momentum for the day. There's something about rolling into the office at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock and already going to war and coming out the other side. The likelihood of you making a mistake with your diet, the likelihood of you making a mistake with other behaviors in your life are very, very small when you've already put that much work into it. I highly recommend morning workouts. Here's the strategy. And I can credit a lot of this strategy, the refinement of this strategy, to a dear friend of mine and someone who I consider an absolute expert in the space of physical fitness and weight training and personal performance. His name is Zane Griggs. I've had him on my podcast a couple of times. He is the most impressive person I have met from a dietary, fitness, and strategic standpoint. And he's taught me some things that I want to share with you. The most powerful thing you could do during your workouts is come into them fasted. And I know this goes against the carb loading, load up before you go in, because you're gonna have more energy and you're gonna have a higher output during your workout. And while that may be true, the goal of a workout isn't to have maximum output in the workout. The goal of the workout is to achieve your short and long-term health goals, which typically are increasing lean mass and decreasing fat mass. And if you burn 1,000 calories over an hour of weight training but you preloaded with carb loads, you're not burning and mobilizing fat or stored glycogen. You're eating all the fuel you just put in your mouth. So going into fasted workouts, as close to or beyond 12 hours as possible, you will really make sure that you go in to your workouts in a hormonal environment that will really give you maximum benefit for what you're looking for. Number 2, volume at fatigue. This is a fantastic concept. I won't go too much into this, but the whole premise is that the way we grow is we destroy our muscle tissues so that neurohormonally we can rebuild, and we only break down when we get to fatigue. So don't take a big break in between sets that get you to fatigue. come back into that set already fatigued, not recovered, and you will spend more time in the graph underneath fatigue. And the way we do that is something called rest pause sets. So instead of taking 3 to 5 minutes in between sets, maybe you take 20 or 30 seconds and you're not recovered. It's going to feel awkward going back under the bar, but you do it and you get to fatigue much sooner, because that's what we're working out for, because it's at fatigue that we actually do the work and we spring load our muscles for a hormonal and a neurologic response in recovery. Speaking of recovery, step number 3, Zane has taught me a lot about post-workout recovery. This is not about eating. This is about giving our muscles, asking a lot from our muscles in our workouts, and then immediately giving it what it needs to recover. And I use a 30-30-30. This is 30 grams of protein with 30 grams of glucose, not fructose, but glucose, so there's no involvement of the liver, within 30 minutes. If you're in an active muscle building, you could maybe do another 30 grams of protein about an hour later. Listen, I hope this really is valuable to you. I think that if there are 2 things you could do to improve the quality of your life, your health, your confidence, and your overall well-being, it would be to commit to learning how to implement intermittent fasting in your life, whatever that means for you. Just get started and continue to try to understand that more. And strength training at least 3 times a week using these 3 steps of fasted workouts, volume at fatigue, and post-workout recovery. I really think you'll be happy with some of the results that you begin to get. I hope this video was helpful. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.